at the same time, Donald Trump is touting that he feels he has been better for African Americans than anybody except possibly Abraham Lincoln.
Possibly.
And he's trying to paint a fairly rosy picture of what it's like for black people in America under his tutelage. So how do you square the two?
This man is doing something about the economy before the coronavirus pandemic, historically low unemployment. The man has signed the First Step Act, which allowed something like 5,000 mostly black men to have their sentences reconsidered and reduced an average of about 75 months. He's also spent more money on enterprise zones. He's put funding on HBCUs for the first time over a period of 10 years. No one has ever done that before.
The president is also saying that there is no systemic racism in America. There is no systemic racism in policing. And
There isn't.
Okay. All right.
There is no evidence of systemic racism whatsoever. In fact, the evidence shows the opposite. I was just about ready to say there's a black Harvard professor named Roland Fryer who assumed, just as you did, that the police were killing blacks just because they were black. He did a study. Not only did he not find it, he found out, which tracked other studies, the police are more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than on a white suspect. And it's common sense, because of people like people in the media who immediately assume that a cop is doing something racist or motivated because the victim is black. They're afraid to shoot a black person much greater than they are afraid to shoot a white person.
Larry, you're from Los Angeles, and you know what happened with the Rampart Division. It was an incredible scandal where they were going into the inner city and they were setting people up and planting drugs and doing all this stuff. I mean, this has been going on for a long time.
Harvey, 20 years ago, from 1992 to 2002, Los Angeles had back-to-back black police chiefs, even during the O.J. Simpson case. And what happened?
But that doesn't mean you're confused.
Away, Larry.
You can't look at a black police chief and say, therefore, there isn't systemic racism.
Right. We had a black president. Is there no racism in America then, Larry? I mean, come on.
First you said systemic racism. Now you're saying racism. Which one do you want?
No, I'm saying
there's no evidence. There's no evidence whatsoever of systemic racism. I ask you to prove it.
A cop watching somebody run away, a black man run away, shooting him and killing him. A guy walking into a convenience store, shooting him and killing him. Larry, we've seen this.
Okay, here's the thing. Larry, I hear what you're saying about the studies.
Harvey, let me try it this way. There are 50 million police-civilian interactions every single year. Out of that 50 million, there are 11 million arrests. Out of that 11 million arrests, 60,000 officers are assaulted. Out of all of that, 1,000 civilians are killed. Half of them are white, 250 of them were black. Almost all of them were resisting with a weapon or resisting violently. When you get down to unarmed black men being shot by white cops, you're talking about less than 4% of the total. And unarmed does not mean not dangerous. Michael Brown was unarmed, but he was reasonably perceived as dangerous. It is rare, Harvey. You guys are exaggerating this. When a white person gets killed by a cop, nobody gives a damn. When a black person gets killed by a cop, people are out in the streets. And in Philadelphia, you're talking about a city where the captain of the city council is black. Almost every single member of city council is a Democrat. They've had black mayors. The police chief is a black female, and you're still talking about systemic racism. It's ridiculous. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, really. You're making the country worse.
We actually, Larry, I'm going to be very clear about something.
Hold on, Charles.
I sleep just
fine at night, and
maybe you do too, and that's fine. So we're going to disagree on this.
Maybe you should be, Larry, because there is a problem. There is a problem in this country, and you are relying on statistics, and you are not looking at humanity.
It's called facts.
Did he really say you are relying on statistics, not looking at humanity?
You are relying on statistics, and you are not looking at humanity.
It's called facts.
He sure did.
Oh, the humanity.